What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what moved it today, and what might be coming next. Before we get into any of that, make sure you hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close in the green, 0.09%, nothing overly crazy. 21.95 the low, 22.59 the high. So multiple different times throughout the day, and even during the pre-market, it showed signs that it wanted to move higher, but it kept getting hit down time and time again, and a lot of which is to do with this. So the 22.26, that is a key pivot, and I know generally shorts haven't been doing all that much lately, but they were actually the cause and the culprit on why it always did get hit. So clearly they are monitoring SoFi's stock price, and when it does get close or even above this 22.26, they kind of increase slightly just to hit it. So they're not really doing all that much, but they're just doing enough to hit it below this 22.26. And a lot of that has to do with just generally the lower volume. So 49 million shares being traded, 78 is the average. So this is one thing I've brought up in the past, is whenever you do generally have lower volume, it's somewhat easier to manipulate. And a lot of that volume, like I said, isn't just SoFi, but it's kind of across the board, and that is because of this. So over this past week, there was $76.24 billion that left both crypto and equity to go back into money market. And the real million-dollar question is why? So most likely there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market, and big money is waiting for, clearly, in my opinion at least, rate cuts. So maybe there might be a re-entry, and just psychologically, there's always a red August. So I think maybe that is why there's been a huge amount of money that just left crypto and equities, because maybe they fear that there is going to be just a pullback that does happen. But right now there is $7.15 trillion sitting in money markets. So all-time high numbers for that. So let me know your general thoughts on that. As far as specific to SoFi, there wasn't any news today, no SEC filings, no macro data points. So today was more of a technical driven day. One thing I do want to share with you though, it's not a crazy reason that you need to buy SoFi or sell, but I do appreciate Anthony starting to, even though if it's just an arrow and bringing awareness to SoFi, he's kind of talking about SoFi. And I know I've kind of complained about that in the past, how he only cared about lacrosse. You looked on his social media, he would be doing talking about football, lacrosse, everything other than SoFi. So even though if it's just an arrow, it's bringing attention and awareness to SoFi. So I think that is a good thing in my opinion, but like I said, it's not really a reason to buy or anything. It's just more of a good FYI. When it comes down to shorts, like I said, they haven't and didn't really do all that much today, but they were somewhat active during some strategic points. So shorts did end up increasing 226,000 shares today. 10.38% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 120.96 million shares overall being shorted. So nothing massive, no kind of million share kind of scenario. So it is what it is. As far as the options today, there was 30 million in calls, 6.41 million in puts, and then 45% of all the options being done today were bullish in nature. So big money is still anticipating for SoFi to continue to move on higher. With today being Friday, this is the open interest. So you do have 13,000 at that 22, 14,000 at that 22.50. So 22.50 and above, all expired worthless. But even this chain this whole week was rather low. So you have roughly around 20, maybe 25,000 in total. And so market makers might have to cover some of that going into next week. But even looking at the dark pool, you see a couple big ones. So 6.7 million, 7.6. So there might be a small little bump up come Monday, but most likely not all that much this next week. So next week is a monthly chain that's fairly large open interest kind of walls. So stay tuned for my video over the weekend where I go over some expectations and whatever else. But aside from all of that though, you did see a good amount of buying for the most part across the board, considering I guess lower volume and whatever else. So yeah, today was just a, most likely in my opinion, just a kind of a relaxing day. There was multiple different signs that SoFi was wanting to get above this point of that 22.26, but clearly technicals weren't really there. So that's something just to watch for going into next week. And then flip side, 2047 is going to be that next strong support, and it didn't even come remotely close to that this whole week, in fact. So definitely good stuff. No new analyst ratings, no articles really talking about SoFi or anything, so it was just more of a relaxing technical driven day. And in SoFi's case, it was and did close above the ALMA, showing signs that it wants to start to kind of move higher. So yeah, things are looking pretty good. And then stochastic RSI, you do see it very oversold, so going into next week that also could really stand to benefit. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. I wish there was more to kind of talk on, but this is pretty much it, and I'm going to take it. I love normal days. It's very relaxing and no stress, no worrying about fears. It's just kind of technical, so it's pretty simple. So hopefully everyone has a amazing weekend ahead of them. Stay tuned for my video over the weekend, and yeah, everyone, let's make a lot of money on SoFi. Pop over to my Patreon on a side note if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.